Hello and welcome to the United Devil with me, JB. How are we all doing today? It's been a couple of days since I've done a show. Mostly because there isn't anything, in my opinion, worthy of talking about. I could just come on here and then just start talking regurgitated stuff. A lot of what I have to say today, or what we're going to go through, is pretty much already out there, but with the lack of content, which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing coming out of the club. In some respects, that's a good thing because we don't know who we're going to go for in this transfer window. On the other side, we do get statements that I will go through from Omar, the CEO, who made this statement a couple of days ago, and we can dissect and go through that. So, how are we doing today? It's really warm in the UK today, absolutely sweltering actually. It's really, really hot. I've got my fan on. I may need to turn it off because it does make an awful noise, but it just means I'm going to get hot. But anyway, Emi Martinez. So there's a story going around, doing the round for the last couple of weeks, and I think it's hotting up this week, namely because there's not a lot else happening, and people have to link United to some sort of deal, otherwise they're not doing their job. So this week's saga, if you like, is Emi Martinez. Now, Emi Martinez, in my opinion, I think is a really good keeper. I think he's definitely world class, definitely up there in the top five. Now he is 32. In my opinion, some people may think, oh, that's too old, particularly that Villa want 40 million for him. Now, top five in the world keeper, easy. I think he's definitely got the personality, the aura that you would want in a United keeper. I think people underestimate the aura that you need to have in goal to play for anybody, but particularly when you play up front for United. You really do. You know, over the years we've had some big personalities. Some have done really well. Some haven't. Schmeichel obviously being the main one that I can think of from my time. Some of them go so well, like him, to Mr. Barthez, Mr. Egg himself. Commanding personality, ability not there to match, and then obviously Van der Sar, not necessarily personality wise, but aura, just in terms of how he commands himself, the size of him, what he won in the game. So he was an absolute aura of a man, and I think really those two really, for me, kind of were the ones that came in with an aura. Everyone else really good at stopping shots or the odd thing here and there. But for me, you know, really having a goalkeeper with aura and that presence from sort of like the day one, or coming into that team and really stamping their authority straight away, I think it's been few and far between. So I think that Martinez could definitely provide that. Now, are we going to sign him? Do we think there's a chance? Now, there's one stumbling block in the way, quite a big stumbling block in the way. Pretty much the only thing that he's blocked all season is potentially the transfer, is Onana. And whether we like it or not, he has a contract for another 3 years, getting paid really good money. Now, any big club, and I'll always say this, any big club would get him out of the door, irrespective of how he felt or whatever contract he's on. We would find a move for him. You'd block him out of the team, and any big team would be getting that keeper out of the door. But however, at United, it goes that basically players have player power still. I'm thinking that we're under the impression that just because they've got a contract, they can hold us to that contract. But do they want to sit on the bench and not play and run the contract down? That's a very long time not to play for him for 3 years. He will, depending on what he values in his career, he's still only 27. So, you know, the damage of sitting on a United bench for X amount of years not playing, you know, how much could that could that hurt his career? Now, I don't think necessarily that's the way that we want to go with him, but Onana is a big stumbling block. So unless we can get rid of Onana, I really don't see a way. I think that Martinez would love to come. I think that he would be perfect in goal. I don't necessarily think he's the best goalkeeper. I don't think that Amorim is necessarily is his first choice. But if there's somebody that you can get of that stature, that's won the World Cup, who definitely has the aura, then Martinez would possibly be the one to go for. Now, how we can get that, there is in the ether, there is a potential Rashford deal there to do. Now, Barcelona have a bid accepted for Williams and for Athletic Club. So that looks like that's the end of that dream there. I think Williams is definitely a better fit for Barcelona than Rashford. Now it's a World Cup year. Rashford really does need to think about a move and really get the move on. So what we're going to do around that is going to be an interesting saga. I can see him ending up back at Villa. Everton potentially, would he? I think Rashford needs to go to a club where historically, if you play well and you play every week, that you will get into that team, will get into that England team. Now, Everton, as much as there are some channels and there are some people who will put down the other clubs, and say that we're a bigger club. Like I've now said for a couple of years, is that we're a big club. Well, I think we'll always be a big club, but are we a big club in terms of stature right now? No. Are we a big club in terms of a mentality? No. Look at some of the historical big clubs or bigger clubs like Forest, Leeds, who successful relatively and then went down. We were very, very, very close last year. So there is still that side whereby we are a big club, but do we keep wanting to keep falling away? So until we are consistently back up there in the top four, until we win something again, we cannot be putting other teams around us and say it's only a Villa or it's only an Everton or it's only a this and that. Rashford, if I was him right now, there is potential, but there's always been potential at this club for 12 years, and we'll get on to United's CEO statement after this. But I think that for Rashford personally, if I was in a team that finished 15th, I'd probably want to go as well, because considering he couldn't get into that team for whatever appearances out there, that Rashford, definitely not wanted in this team. And when you're not wanted by a team that had an abysmal season, lost a final to Spurs, who were absolutely shockingly dreadful, but we were even worse than that and been worse than them the whole of the season, then it doesn't really say much for you and your career. So if I was him, just for him, I would just get out of the club anyway. So I think the only way, really, if you think about how last season went, for him is to go up, really, and for him to kind of go to a better team. So I kind of really hope for the player. In my opinion, nothing against the player. I don't know the guy. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but for his own career, I think for his own mental health, for his own career, and to see him, he did come through as a kid, and it would be nice to see him enjoy play football again. So I really hope that he can do something there. So in regards to Emi Martinez and a kind of swap deal, if something could be done around that, I think that would be agreeable all round. So, but other than that, Onana has to want to go. He's sitting on a contract. As I say, if we were a big club, we would get him out of that door. But I just don't think we've got the capability. I don't think we've got the people in the skill in there to get rid of people as quick as we can. So I just keep an eye on that one. I do think we want a new keeper. Would I be opposed if he stayed another year? If he stays another year, he's going to cost us some more points. I think his confidence is completely down. I don't think he's good enough for what we want to do. We wanted a ball-playing keeper. He can't even do that right now. He can't even save. So I think it's time for Onana to move on, and I wish him the best. And we need to be a cutthroat club. So what's next? Berrada. So a couple of days ago, the CEO made a statement. One of the first statements he's made in a long time. I think he needs to do a lot more of this. A lot of other clubs, Bayern in particular, they have CEOs. They have other people who are supporting the manager to come out and explain the signings, the reasoning for signings. Now, he hasn't come out as such and kind of explained. He's explained a little bit, and I'll give you my opinion on that as well. So his statement basically lends to United will not rush into deals. They're going to take their time in deals because obviously they want to get the best price. Now, I can't be a hypocrite. In the past, I've basically said to friends and whatever else, and we've had this debate that, do I want United to overpay for players? Okay, so in my opinion, there's two types of overpaying or paying the price for a player. Now, if a club sets a price of, say, 65 million, right, and that's just over market price. Now, if it's for a player that is going to improve a team and going to just really improve that side and the player in the position that you need, yes, I think have a go at getting that deal down and trying to get the best price. We've had our pants pulled down for 10 years, and you do want to hold your price. But if the market value is there is that value there for that player, and we're not in a position to argue really or negotiate too much, and if it's going to be a player that's going to really, really improve your team, just get that player in. Okay, so there is that kind of whereby you sort of pay that in and around that price. You want to get a bargain deal, but again, a big club will go and get that deal. Will figure out what the club wants to do and just get that deal or move to the next deal as quick as possibly can. Or you do what we do, and we panic buy at the end of a window. We haggle over a couple of million and then end up paying that plus another 10 or 15, as in the case of an Anthony, as in the case of what we've done over the last couple of years. So that's where we have our pants pulled down. So the position that we're in is, I understand this. We don't want to pay over the price of the odds, but we seemingly don't want to pay for. We don't want to pay the price. We don't even want to pay the market price. We're always asking, what's your best price? What's your best price? Now, again, teams are perfectly within the right to overcharge, and there's a United tax on a lot of these deals. Now, the problem with that is that if you spend a window trying to get in these players, and I do think that we're stalling as well because the cash basically isn't there. Now, what's worth paying a slightly inflated price now or paying an extortionately late price after? Plus, if you pay it now to get that player in for the pre-season tour, to learn the system, to get them in now that the manager wants, that could be worth more money in points. Could be worth getting into the top four. Could be you look at all the players that have come in late, particularly last year, and the impact that had. The knock-on effect of that was they didn't have a pre-season, didn't know the system. The manager got sacked. Obviously, that's got really nothing, or has it? The fact that the manager got sacked, even when I think Ten Hag was like top four at least last year. So it's ending up costing us points. Now, a big club, as I keep saying, will get these players in. The fact that they're pleading that they need money, there is an offer for Bruno, and I think that just needs to be. I'm not saying it because I want to keep using that as a stick to beat people with, but the money was there to do these deals, and if they didn't take the money, then to me they're saying they don't need the money. So where is this money for these players? We're going to keep a player who's going to be played out of position that we really needed the money more than the player. However, we didn't take the money. So therefore, what do we do? So I'm now of the opinion that we are, once again, this is just another Glazer summer repackaged under a different brand. So Omar Berrada, he's come out and basically, said that we're going to take our time on things, and again, this is just another way to repackage stuff. All this talk, particularly this week, about players that I know are not going to come, linking us to Ekitike, linking us to Osherman, linking us to all sorts of players. Again, it's just spin. There's another spin. There's going to be lots of people saying that, they're cooking and they are trying to get all these deals done, and they're working really hard. And I have not seen we've signed one player. Now, this is what I think needs to get into people's heads still, is that we've ultimately just signed one player. That's all we've done, signed one player, been linked to loads and loads of players. Now, Mbeumo, I think, will be done. They're taking the deal because I think that they're taking the time because they're just trying to get a deal done. They're trying to get the best deal. They're trying to knock off £1 million here, £10 off there, pay in on Klarna or whatever they're trying to do in installments to get the best deal. And then after that, I think they then need to get that deal done because they need to sell players. And how they're going to sell players, I don't know, but then get these players signed. So I just think that, again, it's just going to be another spin. There's lots and lots of spin. There's nothing happened last week, and then Lowen, we are linked to Ekitike. We can spend like 100 million. We're linked to all sorts of players again through spin. Do I think it's all through the club? No. I think that our name is once again being attached to the people to get their price up, to get deals done, which is part of the course. But United really do need to get the finger out. Pre-season starts in about two to 3 weeks. And if these players are not there, once again, we're going to have no players there for the tour. We're going to be scrambling around, not getting these players signed. We're going to be missing the window. We play Arsenal the first game of the season. City are chucked in there as well. And if we have another bad start, then it's finished. If we don't get our players in, or at least a striker and Mbeumo in for the tour, for the pre-season, then it's done already. It's absolutely done. Now, with anything else, I think that it's gone a little bit quiet. I think it's a bit strange that United have gone really quiet on a lot of stuff. Are they just about to announce something? I don't know. What I would really love to see, or really love to happen, is to be completely wrong, right? And United pull out like deals for a striker, pull out a deal for a midfielder, for whatever else, get these sales done. I'd be the first person. These are the things that I want done and want to happen, but this is just another spin. Statements like Kuna reminds him of Cantona. I think it just goes to show basically his little knowledge of the club, how he needs to kind of get on board and start understanding this club from a fan's perspective and not a business perspective. So Cantona, for those of you who are old enough to know who he was and when he came to the club, I am, and he wasn't just a signing who was like a George Best or like a whoever else came. He was an hero. He was his own player, and there was nobody like him past or since. He was his own era. So to compare an era to a player, again, he's just there for clicks. He's just trying to. He's basically just trying to get fans on the side, which I get it, but he just comes across like he has no idea. Like Sir Jim comes across like he has no idea about football. I just don't think these business people. I really thought he was a CEO who was a football guy. Who was this guy that knew a lot about football and players and how a club should run and operate, coming from a big club. And sadly, it would appear that he simply has no idea. So I just hope that the club just starts to really start thinking about the things they say, the things they do, their persona, because you need to get fans on board. You need to get a positive vibe around the club, particularly after last year. The fact they're saying that they don't have to move quick, and they are relaxed about things. How can you be relaxed with Arsenal the first game of the season? We had the worst final I've ever seen in any European competition ever. You lost, and no disrespect to Spurs, right? They were awful in that final. We were even worse. So what does that go to show about us? So we were even worse than in a normal year. Spurs were awful. Any other team would have put them to the sword. However, we were even worse. So we lost, and we were involved in one of the most abysmal finals. One of the main players in it, our captain, who couldn't even step up on his own, was abysmal. We had an opportunity to sell him, and we haven't. So we've had perfect opportunities handed to us that we've seemed to just let slip away. And now is the time to. We need CEOs coming out with statements of purpose, not statements of comparing players to players. They'll be comparing, I don't know, Mount to Beckham next, or whoever else, because he's got the number 7 shirt. What we actually need are firm statements. We need purposeful statements. We need leadership in that club, which is lacking, seriously lacking. And we need a clear pathway of. We need stability. We need confidence in the leadership of the team. But right now, it really smells that nobody knows what they're doing. They're scrambling around trying to find things to do, and it's just going to be another Glazer summer until I'm proved wrong. So but I'd love to know your thoughts on it. I'd love to know what you think about it. Do you think we are cooking? Do you think that we're going to sign all the players we should sign? Any players you think we should sign, actually? Any suggestions that you might have? Do you think Glinios are doing well? I just love to know in the chat what you think about the transfer window so far. It's really, really quiet, and concerns me slightly. On that note, please don't forget to like, favourite and subscribe. Comment as much as you can. Keep it nice. The opinions that you hear are mine and mine alone. Doesn't mean that I'm right. Doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It's just an opinion, and I'd love to hear yours. If anything breaks, I'll jump back on. If not, I will see you again on the next one. As soon as anything worthy of note comes on, I will let you guys know. Have a good one.